Hey, welcome to Thinking Out Loud. I'm your host, Ricardo ZULUETA. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing the future of work and how a startup called Metaintro is going to be helping people build resumes in Web3. Hello, everybody. So this is Lacey. She's the startup founder of Metaintro. How are you?
Hi, I love that that hype video.
Yeah.
That was so great.
I had to have something in there, It's like, all right,
Yeah.
thinking out loud. So basically, that's the whole idea, right? I want to see what's inside your brain, what you're thinking
Yeah.
about, and what you're producing. So I always like to start off, like, let's talk about the pitch. Do a 2-3 minute pitch just to give everyone a basic overview.
Yeah. So Metaintro, we're the professional resume wallet for Web3. It's a multi-chain custodial wallet that holds proof of employment, proof of skill, proof of education, all of the things that you put in your resume, with hopes that it reduces the time to hire. Yes. And so it interacts as a browser extension, kind of like a MetaMask with native job applications. So let's say you're going as a job seeker through a Lever or a Workday. You put in your first and last name, your email address, and you get to the point where it says upload your PDF resume. Instead, you would connect with your Metaintro wallet. Adjacent to the product, we also run the largest Discord dedicated to Web3 jobs. There's about 4,000 jobs posted in our Discord a month, and from everybody in the Web3 ecosystem. So that's us in our 50-second pitch.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this is really interesting to me because we talked a little bit about it, but I didn't want to talk too much because I wanted to do this. So I didn't want to learn too much. But one of the interesting things that you're doing is attaching like some sort of identity in the Web3. Because now there's really nothing that attaches any type of identity because people, it's very transparent, right? So it's kind of difficult to balance that whole transparency and privacy. So I think this is like the first step, because you're professional, you want to be known, you want people to know you're professional. So how did this even come up in your mind? Because I know you have a startup, so can you kind of let me know, just tell me how Metaintro kind of was born?
Yeah. So I've only ever been in the HR tech space. My first startup was a labor marketplace in the media and entertainment space. Prior to that, I worked in HR and media and entertainment. And when I started noodling on what my next startup would be, I thought, well, as a startup founder, when you're going to figure out what you're going to build, it's all about what do you know and what's something that irritates you about it? What's something that can be fixed about it? And so, I mean, you never want to build, you want to try to never build a startup that you don't, in a field you don't know anything about. So I thought a lot about the future of work, and labor marketplaces solve for two problems generally. First, reducing the time to hire, and secondly, filling the top of the funnel with candidates. And so with that, there are Web3 technologies that can obviously, like the blockchain, you can reduce the time to hire in a significantly faster way than Web2 companies can. And so it was kind of a light bulb moment when I was just staring at my computer, reading some articles, going down the Web3 rabbit hole. And then I, went to the whiteboard and started ideating.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's actually what I tell people. When they talk about I want to be an entrepreneur. Dude, all entrepreneurs are mission-driven people that solve problems. And they could be introverts, extroverts. They're gonna change. They're gonna evolve the same way their freaking company has to evolve. They're always adapting, figuring out, getting feedback. Because everything we know are assumptions. We have no idea what's right until we get the feedback. You're like, I don't know if it's gonna work, but let's find out. What are the first steps you took to kind of get that let you know that there's a market for this? Or I know you thought wow, what an easy way, but because sometimes the biggest thing I think about is are we going too fast? Are people ready for this Web3 revolution kind of thing? So what were the things that you were doing that kind of gave you more confidence? It's yep, definitely a need.
Yeah, well, when I first went out to raise, I dipped my toe in the water first after I kind of had the first iteration of my pitch deck written, just to get some even investor feedback. And a lot of the feedback at the time was, are we too early for this? I don't think so, and my Discord is proof of it. With 4,000 jobs posted a month, imagine how many applicants each job is seeing. Each job, depending like if it's technical or non-technical, is seeing, you know, anywhere from 100 plus applicants. And that time to hire, whether that's validating skills, past employment, work visas, slows down the process, therefore slowing down the progress in building. And so that's the bottleneck that I see. And so if we can reduce the time to hire, we can build faster, we can scale faster as an industry. And yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit from there, but that's my opinion.
Wow.
You know,
yeah.
I feel like investors now probably agree, because, you know, Web3 is like super hot right now and projects are building and people are raising. So
yeah, so the biggest thing that you see as the solution is really the saving time, right? And actually also, well, because of the blockchain, you can basically authenticate, I guess, or at least verify that it definitely worked at this place. So how does it actually work? So how, like, what am I gonna see? Like, let's say I'm an employer.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious what the solution is going to be. So what do I see? How does the process go? How does it work?
Yeah. So as a job seeker, you have your wallet. And so it looks kind of like a PDF resume in terms of like how it's set up. So you'll have your work experience, you have your skills section, you have your education section. And let's take like the education section for example. There are 3 ways to add credentials into your wallet. First way is by having traditional authorizers send credentials into your wallet. So let's say you went to Stanford. Stanford would mint your diploma or your, you know, proof of education into an NFT badge and then send it to your wallet, and that would live in your wallet. Second way is by attempting to validate that credential by yourself. So you would upload 3 points of data into an NFT badge, and let's say that those 3 points are, for Stanford, your student ID, your student loan bill, and like your diploma. And then from there, it's up to an HR manager to decide whether or not the information is like, you know, legitimate or suffices for whatever their needs are. And then the third way, which we're super excited about, is a validator network. So within Web3, validator networks are super common. And I said, well, why can't we build that for validating skills? Why do we need traditional authorizers within the process? Can we eliminate them? And so with the validator network, it works. You upload 3 points of data. It goes into a consensus and a network of Metaintro validators, and then they decide on a pass-fail system whether or not that information is true or false. And then if they decide if it's true, reward that badge back to you into your wallet. So it's just a different way of looking at validating skills and employment and education.
Yeah, and that's actually the biggest thing that speeds things up, right? Because every time someone, anyone would make a resume, right? Like I worked here and I worked there, and this is all my skills. And now you have to go through the process of like, does he really have these skills?
Exactly.
Did he really go to Stanford? So that makes a lot of sense, because that definitely will speed things up. It's almost like once they fit the criteria, hired. You don't even, right? That's basically, wow. I like the whole validating idea, because I had a startup in the, I was trying to do something in the influencer marketing industry. And, you know, it comes to that point, right? Like, well, how many fake followers, this, that, did they really work with this company? A lot of them were starting to do fake, almost like, they will tag companies and say, oh, I promoted Coca-Cola, but they actually didn't work with them at all. And so those were one of the things I was thinking, like, how do I transform this to a Web3 version? And that's actually, I was thinking that I'm like, I think there has to be other people that might need to authenticate and verify, like, did they actually do a good job? Did they really post things like that? So that's really cool what you've done there, and adding that whole, you know, it's cool that you're like proof of work, proof of skill, and proof of education. So that's really cool, because you're really, those are the top 3, I guess. That's, I guess that's
it covers everything.
Education.
And like that can be used. I mean, we've seen something like this go much more beyond just like what you thought of is a job seeker. Like, for instance, musicians, you know, they can be using this and they can be authenticating past shows, ticket sales, you know, like there's everybody has their own, every industry has their own iteration of what a resume looks like, but regardless, there needs to be a way of proving past X, whatever that is, and a way of then showing that information to the person that's going to be hiring you or using you to do A, B, and C, even if it's like a freelancer or an influencer. So, you know, use cases much more just like
that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's actually something that's going to be very useful in all cases. Anyone that you're trying to hire or just verify who they are. That's going to be really cool, especially like, let's say with the NFT people that are looking for moderators.
Sure.
You know, like I'm doing an NFT project now. They're like, hey, I'll do marketing for you. This with you. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, I
mean, it's so tough hiring people, especially like through Discord, because you don't know who anybody is and what they've done, and you can trust them, and like, you know, that it makes it really tough. So if they have a way of showing, maybe it'll ease the tension, you know, and allow you to trust, in a way, internet strangers. So
right. So actually I forgot to put this in. One of the things I wanted to kind of go, so what's your team looking like? Like, how did you kind of get people together? Did you get everyone from your last startup to help you out? Like, how did that work out?
Yeah, so it's my startup, it's my CTO from my last startup, Brad and I. So it's just us, which is like pretty insane given that, you know, we've built such a massive community and, you know, are writing code and all of that stuff. But, you know, this isn't a, at least for the foreseeable future, I don't see that this is a company that's going to need 100 employees. It's just not.
Awesome. Everything's automated.
Yeah, like I don't see this really scaling beyond like 20 employees. I mean, Instagram was a unicorn at 10 employees. So like, you know, I just don't think that this is going to be a super like labor intensive company, but that's not to say, don't quote me, in 5 years we might have a ton of employees. Who knows? It depends on the scale. So it's just us right now.
That's true. What do you see? Do you think, you know, a lot of times when I think about this, because we're like, you know, you always say we're early, like, are we super early? Like, how much is this thing going to evolve? Are people going to learn from your startup and create a better one?
Yeah.
Right? But the cool thing about the Web3 and everything happening with NFTs, all this stuff, I mean, to me, like, I'm seeing it like such a great way to, like, you know, fundraise and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's that first to market advantage. Right?
It is.
It's like, who else is in Web? I see it as just like such a whole new industry that any other business that's not in Web3 that translates like, oh, you totally have first to market advantage in this one. Doesn't matter what business it is. It's like, if no one's there in Web3, everyone's starting at the same point. It's who's going to act faster. And, you know, Web3 NFT, man, I thought startup was fast. Holy.
Yeah.
Web3 is really 10x. Fast. Speaking of that, so when did you actually come up with the idea, and then, you know, how did you kind of evolve? Like, when did you start and where are you at today?
Yeah. So I started iterating earlier this year, and I mean, the Discord came first. I needed to prove out the concept. First I needed to prove that there were enough Web3 jobs in the space to even like go after an idea like that, because that could be an issue, right? If there's not enough jobs, like it's just not, you want the amount of jobs, I mean, like a chicken and egg issue, to be plentiful. So Discord came first, and Discord took off actually really quickly. I saw product market fit in the Discord like almost instantly. So we pace about 100 users a day, which is amazing. Except for on the weekends. Weekends people definitely take off, which is funny.
That's funny. Which is great for you though.
Yeah, like I sleep on the weekends. And so we pace about 100 users a day, 4,000 jobs in the Discord a month. And that's more than LinkedIn and Indeed. So if you go, like if you go through Indeed or LinkedIn, you'll see probably 6 to 20 pages, but it's only a dozen or so job employers. So it's just they have multiple roles, and so they'll post, and so that's why it looks more. And in terms of building, we're about 60 days out from having the product in a beta which is going to be super exciting. It'll be rolled out to our community first. And I think in the next 30 days, we'll be able to announce the latest funding round that we just went through. So that's super exciting too. Yeah,
you kind of mentioned something about that. I was like, no way you did it that fast.
Yeah,
like,
we did it really fast.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just that's just awesome, you know, like, holy crap. Like when you're getting funding that fast, it's only going to really give you that huge advantage of being in front of everyone. You know? I want people to see this. Like, I mean, you're getting so many great positive things on here. I mean, look at the social proof happening here.
Oh, I know. Well, it's funny. This is only like, I mean, 1/100th of like what is actually happening on Twitter. I was thinking, like, every morning I wake up and there's a handful of people. Excuse me. There's a handful of people that are writing about us. Like, I wish there was a way for me to like collect every single person that tweets about us, because it's the love is so real on Twitter, and I can't like relay it like without you going in and actually seeing it. So I try to retweet every single one, but social proof is there. Everybody wants something like this. Everybody loves the Discord. People are referring their friends. So it's good.
And it's crazy. You're already getting that much
and we don't even
positive.
have a product.
I know, that's what's killing me. I'm like, oh my God, you have the best scenario of having a startup. You have the, you know, you have the social proof. You already have the feedback. You know that there's demand for it. I mean, everything, and no wonder you're getting that funding. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, it definitely led with that. With like, well, I already have the largest Discord. If you just go on Twitter, you'll see. And like around the time that I was able to open up the round, there was that manifesto, if you want to call it, that came out about SBTs. So I wrote like a quick thread on it. At the end, mentioned I'm opening up the funding round, and then was able to raise. So
wow, that's awesome.
Good timing.
Man, one after the other. Good stuff. I love it. No, I love it because it's such a hard space, you know, because it's so fast. You don't know who's doing what, and you're just going. And I think that was one of the best ways, you using Discord. And what's cool is because you know, to the general audience, the Discord is going to be a new thing just to learn how to function. So without a product, good thing you have already people. And what's cool, because you're the Web3 jobs is what you're starting with before anything else, and they're already used to Discord. They know what that's about. And everyone getting into the Web3 space, NFTs, things like that. So that's the biggest thing. One thing that I wanted to kind of tell the audience here. So she's actually her startup is going to be one of the exhibitors at our upcoming I guess NFT networking, Web3 networking event that is coming up soon, or in a month or two. We keep postponing it because of the things that's happening now. So there's really no set time when we're gonna do it. But I just wanted to show a quick thing about the event so people can know about it. She's gonna have an exhibitor booth there. So if anyone might be interested, here's a quick intro. Whoa, that was lagging hard on my side. I don't know how it was on your side.
No, it's fine.
Oh, it went through? Oh, nice. It was lagging on my side. I'm like, oh, what's going on there? So, I love the way your pace is going right now. What I'm curious about, yeah. Can you hear me? You can't hear me? Can you hear me now? I can't hear you. Huh.
It was my AirPods.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so I was just mentioning, you're going such a fast pace, and I love it. What I'm curious about now, I wonder how much like kind of research you did, or you just went like, hey, there's no one in this space. There's no way anyone's in this space. So did you just jump in? Like, who's your competition that you saw that was any competition out there, or is there any now? Anyone trying to, or even close?
Yeah. So in this space right now, if you're a job seeker, you'd know that there are a ton of job boards. They're like a dime a dozen. If I scroll through Twitter one more time and see another person starting a job board, I might like pull my hair out. It's not, it's a thing. There are dozens. And so I don't see that as competition, because I'm building an infrastructure tool and we're plugins to those job boards. There's a lot of like DAO gated, NFT gated job boards as well. I personally don't believe in gating jobs. I think it's the opposite of what Web3 should be about. I actually find it like really gross that people do that. But I've also been in the HR space for a long time. And so I know, like, I understand the business model, I understand what they're doing. I just think it's a very Web2 way of monetizing Web3. I do not think that people should have to purchase an NFT and see that rate of the NFT skyrocket just to get access into jobs that they don't have like a promise of landing. So anyways, I'll get off my soapbox about that.
Yeah.
But I do. Yeah. So like, that's kind of like what I'm seeing in the space. So no infrastructure tools quite yet. So being first to market is definitely going to help.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I guess the next thing I should go into, kind of like your business model. So how is this going to work? How do you, because a lot of these, especially NFT projects, I'm glad that you actually have an actual startup. A lot of them don't even think about how they're going to sustain. They're so dependent on how much money they make from the NFT. It's a great seed round to get you going, but they don't have a way to keep kind of, basically to keep going, to sustain them. They always talk about they're going to build something, but like, but how are you going to earn yourself? You keep talking about how they're going to earn something, but how are you as a company going to earn? So I'm curious, what's your business model? Is it very different to what they're doing in Web 2, or is it pretty similar?
It's pretty Web 3. I mean, or maybe it's like Web 2.5. Whatever. So first is transaction fees, just like a MetaMask. So you'll see as you are requesting an authorization of an NFT badge, let's say it's like going to Stanford, you'll see there's a toggle to decide who absorbs the cost. So either the authorizer can absorb the cost or the job seeker can absorb the cost. And we'll give that option across the board.
Oh, that's cool.
And that transaction fee is determined by a base plus a priority fee, exactly like a MetaMask. And then secondly is our API. So we sell the plugins to like the Lever, the Workdays, where they can place it within their native job application. And then that API is then used to be able to view or to receive the wallets and then view the credentials within the wallet.
Oh, so that's cool. So, wow. So you got that down already. Was it difficult to talk to investors on how Web3 works because it's such a new space, or was it pretty simple for them to understand?
Yeah. At first, I'm trying to think. So like when I first dipped my toe in, like when I had the first iteration of my my pitch deck, I reached out to like Web 2 and Web 3 investors. At the time, like looking back at that pitch deck, it wasn't like Web 3 enough. for it to be like backed by a Web3 fund. Like I was still learning, right, about Web3, and I was still learning about like how the product would move in the space, and you know, I wasn't quite like an expert on it yet. So in hindsight, like it was too early to go out and raise
I don't think
funds.
anyone really is yet.
Yeah. And then with the Web2 investors, like it didn't, like they didn't understand. That could have been like part of the pitch, but because they're bearish, like they don't quite understand the future of what Web3 can do. And so that was really tough. And then there were the investors in the middle that had like NFT pictures as their Twitter profile. So like I assumed they were like Web3 forward, and like that was it. That was like the extent of like their Web3 knowledge, like those Twitter investors. So when I went to go out and raise again, I only went to Web3 investors that worked in consumer future work. And I mean, I mean, over the course of like 5 to what ended up being like 7 days, my schedule was packed. But it was on the tail of what's going on in the Discord, the SBTs, like, you know, I'm not a first-time founder anymore. So like, I feel like I was able to open up a few more doors. So, and everybody got it, which was awesome. Like I was like the first, one fund that ended up investing in us, I knew they were going to be a home run the minute that I had the first meeting with them, because they came in and they were like, I read your private docs. I understand what's going on. I have all of these questions. Like, I'm super excited about this space. Like, I want to know more. And when you walk into a meeting like that with an investor, you know that they've done the diligence on their side before taking a meeting. So they're not going to waste your time. And they've actually thought through that space, which is important, because you don't want to waste your time educating an investor on the space. They're either in or they're out. You know? So
that's what I was curious about, because, you know, I mean, the average person have no idea what the hell you would be talking about. Like, what do you mean wallet? Why would I put a resume in a wallet? Like, what do you mean? And so that's why I was like, that's got to be difficult trying to get investors to understand. But you had a niche investment, like, I guess, list of investors. So how many did you go through before you got one?
I mean, the first fund that I spoke to was the first fund that put in. So it was, I mean, it took, I mean, we had several meetings, and like I met the team and we went through diligence, and it was great. But that was the first. So ended up getting, you know, I mean, it was good. So it was,
that's great.
But like in retrospect, like my last startup, I was in a perpetual fundraising cycle for 18 months. It was awful. Like I couldn't get anybody to invest. Like I spoke to like everybody under the moon, anybody that we didn't want to. And it's just fundraising is a really big time suck. And you want to be like, you only want to go out when you're ready, and you know, like you're going out with like that golden goose egg. Like that's the time to go out and raise. Otherwise, you're going to waste your time as a founder, and you're not going to be able to create that like urgency within your fundraising process.
It's also interesting because what you're doing too, it's like you got in there. This is pre-product, guys. Like, I mean, that's insane. When you hear about these stories, you know, people like, oh, they got it because of the idea only. But you did get traction, though. You had proof. And the thing is, I think people that are in the Web3 space, what makes it easy is because they're already thinking of like, what else can we turn into Web3? So you come in with this solution, and it's like, oh, you already know how you're going to put it together. Like, oh, perfect. And you have a Discord full of them. Like, wait a minute. Like, wow, it was 1 + 1 + 1.
It was.
So I'm curious. I just want to go through this a little bit, because I know you have the general like products and services that you're going to provide. What do you see that you're going to be implementing as well? Is there something that you see in the future that you're going to add on as a product or service? Or is it going to be mainly like, hey, I'm the best way to verify your resume, man? And that's pretty much what you're going to do. And then you're just going to let other companies, you know, verify their resumes that way? Like, what do you kind of see? How this is going to evolve? And like, what do you actually see in the future? Like how things are going to work?
Yeah. Well, the ultimate goal is to replace the PDF resume, like period. So I see us like in the next I see, honestly, like in the next 12 to 18 months being the entry point for resumes within Web3 at like scaled. Like kind of how MetaMask is your entry point into Web3 or into cryptocurrency, that's your entry point into finding a job in the Web3 space. In terms of like other products, I see us like maybe implementing in the future. I've had a lot of time to think about, because that's often a question in the investor meetings, is like, well, in 10 years, like what else does this thing do?
Yeah, that's what I was
and
curious.
I definitely like with wallets, you probably have multiple wallets. You have your cold wallet, you have your hot wallet, you have your company wallet, like you have multiple wallets. And I see our wallet being your professional wallet. And therefore, maybe one day it holds everything work related. So your benefits, your weekly paycheck, your like, I don't know, tokens that you hold within other projects.
That's interesting.
Yeah, your Web3 version of your 401k, like who knows?
Whoa.
Yeah. So maybe one day, like, we'll see, maybe over the next 36 months, that becomes something that's on our roadmap. But for right now, I'm solving a very singular issue that's a very big problem, and I'm like very focused on fixing it. So we'll see. But anything can happen. So.
Exactly. No, that's great. No, I like that you already kind of have this idea of how it's supposed to work, and attaching that, like, actually basically you're going to create a professional wallet, or potentially, because you don't know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
You really don't know. But the first thing you're attacking is definitely going to happen. At least that's a definite, like the verification of jobs, education, and what is it, skill. I think those three things are huge. So that's cool, because you're become like this verification. So when people do, like, how they do, they get not licenses, but things like that. So that can get added on automatically, and it's
totally
basically verified, right?
Yeah.
So people
even
can
like
use
co-ops.
you for that. Yeah, that you actually went to this convention to learn this, or anything else. Wow. Yeah, even the pause. I didn't even think of that. Wow. Getting deep in there. Well, no, I love it. I'm so glad you're one of our exhibitors, because I'm really curious. One of the things I was thinking of doing with you was also maybe potentially doing a job fair. I think that would be cool, doing a Web3 job fair in a metaverse. People are going to be used to it. And, you're already connecting people through Discord. But, we were just talking how Discord is just, there's got to be some way to make that thing better. It's very confusing. Sometimes I end up on, I click on something else and I'm like, wait, what channel was I on? I have no idea where I was last on.
Yeah.
And by that, by that time, the thing's already gone. But anyway, thank you so much for your time. It's really interesting to learn about your startup and what you're doing. Looking forward to doing what we could do together in the future.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I guess, any ask that you'd like to ask the audience, feel free. Quick last shill on your startup here, and go for it.
No, I'm just excited to be a part of the job fair, maybe
the networking event,
exhibitor. And if you need help with your resume, or you're looking for work within the Web3 space, definitely stop by. I look at resumes all day long from people in the Web3 space, so I definitely can provide some feedback. And if you're looking for a job, definitely come by our booth. We'll be able to point you in the right direction.
That's awesome.
We should do the job fair. Yeah, I definitely thought about it. It's just like, what do you want to take on today, Lacey? So.
Yeah. Well, we're doing the thing today. I get to show you the metaverse, how it works, and what the advantages are and stuff. So everyone, I hope you guys are looking forward to this little job fair we're gonna be throwing soon. Then it's gonna be awesome. You get to like walk around and actually meet her in person ish in the metaverse. All right. Well, thank you again so much. And until then, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.